My guest today is Gary Hector. He's a singer-songwriter from Trinidad and Tobago. He's been involved with music for over 30 years now, fronting the bands Oddfellows Local and Jointpop. And in 2021, he embarked on a solo career, releasing the album National Trash. And now he's currently working on a follow-up solo album called Memphis Medicine. But without further ado, Gary, we're glad to have you. Good morning.
Hey, good day, man. Good day. And yeah, thanks for having me here, man, Jake. Nice to meet you, and hello to all, yeah, man. Good.
Yeah, so let's start from the very beginning. When you were growing up in Trinidad, what was your environment like, and how did that inspire your musicianship?
Well, it's typical Caribbean islands, just all chill, laid back, people close to each other, all neighbors. You could go into neighbors' homes and hang out, eat food. It's all a very close-knit kind of unit, you know. So I have a big extended family also, so it's just, you know, hanging around. I did not touch instruments for a long. I started at an older age, maybe 18 or something like that, for touching a guitar for the first time. But I always listened to music somehow or the other. I was always somehow paying attention for, well, now I know the reason why, but I had no idea then why I was so just into it all the time, different types of music. And growing up in Trinidad, I mean, we have our own music here, which is the calypso and soca and steel pans and so on. So you're surrounded by that also, you know. And so it was just a normal boy days things, playing in the dirt, marbles, football, cricket, just all that kind of stuff, man.
It's really cool. So when at what point did you start like joining bands and getting your feet wet in that regard?
Well, the thing is, it happened once I discovered rock and roll. I guess it was like, okay, I need to check this thing out properly, you know. What happens, we like, I was on a soccer team, what you guys call soccer. We say football here, but you know, so we just all be hanging around, and then one day we noticed one of the guys like instantly just started dressing differently, and like, what's going on with you, man? You know, and he said, well, I'm a punk. I'm like, what is that about? You know, like, so, I mean, I had no access to rock music, and then we realized my good friend is like, okay, he's into this thing now, and we start seeing him walking around with a guitar, you know, and being close. Yeah, so just being close to them. And one night I decided, okay, I'm going to check what this is all about. Sat with them and heard a couple of albums, and I actually took the albums home with me. I was instantly hooked. I mean, and by the next day I was touching the guitar with them and trying to learn, you know. So, and once, it started from there, and pretty soon, within a year, I was in a band playing guitar, a cover band, just playing some like metal standards, you know, the Paranoids and the Judas Priest, and I was just a guitar player, and I stayed up being a guitar player for the next 4 years or so, and in a couple other bands until we started Oddfellows Local with the purpose of starting to write songs, you know. So I wrote my first songs with Oddfellows Local.
All right, so that was in the early 90s, right?
Oddfellows Local is 90 to 95, yeah.
Mm-hmm, yeah, and you mentioned that like from the kind of blues, kind of metal standards, you started to venture into punk rock, and your taste started to become like a lot more alternative, a lot more eclectic. I remember in one of our previous email exchanges, you noticed that my email was Jake Rotten, and I was like, well, we're both fans. We're both fans of Johnny Rotten. And, so you kind of took that punk aesthetic with you, and then when it comes to Oddfellows Local, I mean, you mentioned them. Was your first single with them Arrest Arrest?
Yes, it's also the first song I ever wrote. So it's the first single and first song, yeah. So, I mean, picture the scenario. We here in Trinidad, there's no active underground rock scene. There are some cover bands that are doing well and so on. There's nobody really, I mean, not to say we weren't the first to write a song or whatever, but we were pretty much the first to sort of break through in a sense of we had a music video, we had a recording, we had a single, which wasn't very common then, you know. So, and the Arrest video started showing on national television a bit. So we became, let's say, like, what is going on here and who the hell are these guys and what are they on about, you know? I mean, we had no idea what this is all about. We were just doing our thing, you know? So, but thankfully we had a friend say, come, I could record you. I have a small studio. And we were, really, you could do that? We have no idea, you know? And same thing, another friend, Walt, is saying, hey, I have a camera, let's do a video. They're like, serious? Can we? We could do that. And it just, from there, within the next 8 months, you just start seeing bands just start growing up. And we would book venues and start the little scene. We would handle all the bookings. We would get a DJ to come in, and because we know he had alternative records. And yeah, so we built it from
the beginning. You were very much innovators in some way.
Yeah, I rather someone tell you that than I do, but apparently we will, you know. So
yeah, it's never apparent to you until you look back, like in retrospect.
Yeah. It was just all happening right there, and we were just going about our scenario, man. I mean,
you're probably just kind of like caught up in it. Like when you wrote Arrest, were you aware of the kind of impact? Like everyone was like, I like how you said junkie. Like I like how you said.
But that the whole thing is it's also a timeline situation in that in 1990 we had a coup here against the government, right?
Oh wow! So
it was So
it really was relevant to the situation.
Right. So yeah, we had some loss of lives. We had some explosions, a 3-day, let's say, war, you know, and it's sort of that was dealing with, because the B side of that single was a song called Red House, which is our parliament, you know, Red House, the Red House. Mm-hmm. So it was all those topical, if you want to say, protests, angry punk songs with lyrics dealing with Trinidad situation, you know. And I think that is what people caught on to, like, okay, he's speaking to us, you know.
Yeah.
Let's forget the electric guitars for a minute, because I mean, here and everything with rocker, there's devil, da.
Yeah.
But all of a sudden it was like, oh, hold on, something is not adding up here. You know, this is almost old calypso styled street commentary, but with electric guitars on a beat, you know.
Mm-hmm. And it was cool because after that you did the Bright and Early Monday Morning single, and I heard middle.
Oh, you know all this, man?
Just Discogs and just trying to put together your history, because there are spots that are blank, so it's good to have you here. It's good to have you here to clarify the information. But from what I can surmise based on my findings, this is like a big research project. This is like a big research project. But what I can surmise, like. So Little Miss Popular, was that the next single?
Yeah, what happened is, funny enough, we so with the Arrest and Red House single, what happened is, well, every now and then in Trinidad they will bring some international act, and they usually 10-15 years past their prime type thing, you know. And so like we had a Foreigner concert, Foreigner the band, you know.
Oh yeah.
And they had some opening acts and so on. We just went to look. We wouldn't get hired for those things. We were always the underdogs, you know, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
And but some guys came down here with a singer, Tara Kemp. She was like a hit R&B singer at that time, and she had like 2 top 5 singles. So they brought them down as the opening act also. And we ended up meeting the guys who work with her and produce her and so on. Just cool, hanging out with them, whatever. Introduce them to the Island Delights, have a smoke, mate, you know, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
And we just gave them the single out of, man, check it out if you want. And they got back to San Francisco and they started trying to find us back in Trinidad, and they wanted to work with us, which led to Little Miss Popular, Bright and Early Monday Morning.
With Nerve Records?
Right. So those guys turned out to be Nerve Records, correct.
Oh wow.
Yeah,
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 and it'd be cool if, like, by some miracle, if all of this, all of these songs, all this work, like, pops up. I'm like, because I've been lucky, in my findings of, like, finding. I don't know if you call them rare or just forgotten singles, but it's really cool. It's important to the scene, and that's why I'm so
yeah.
passionate about it.
Yeah. It was. I mean, you reminded me of some serious heady times there because, funny enough, Little Miss Popular was recorded in Trinidad. They came down and they booked a studio and they recorded 3 tracks with us here. And then I went to San Francisco with them when the mixing and all that was going on, and we recorded Bright and Early Monday Morning in San Francisco, which is the reason it's me alone
All
on
right.
acoustic. Yeah. So we just did an acoustic version of it, which we had a full band version also. But yeah, and they tried to shop that around, got some interest with some different bigger labels talking about it, Service College Radio. So that single just popped up in different areas every now and then. Somebody reminds me of it, you know.
I'm telling you, man, like when I hear those songs, like you would have like fit right along with like the 120 minutes kind of crowd.
Yeah, that was the era because and as I mentioned, that funny enough, we were getting 120 minutes on, let's say, bootleg recorders because we had no cable here then. But we hearing about 120, and that 120 is the thing we wanted to see and not the mainstream per se, you know. Then we started getting some late night indie because everything was a hunt over here. There are bands I've been in love with before I hear them. Like, because I keep reading about them, but I can't get my hands on it because I don't know anybody. I mean, the Smiths was one. Like, I'm a Smiths fan. But I never heard them. I just need to hear this band everybody's influenced by. You know, that type thing. Until finally someone I say, hey, give it to me. And that started up.
It's like me with Oddfellows Local and early
Right.
Jointpop. Like
Right.
it'd be so good to going to Jointpop. I mean, that was like toward the late '90s, and the first your first album was Port of Spain style. Is that right?
Port of Spain style, yeah. It's a Port of Spain style turned out to be a combination of like 2 EPs. So we did like a 4 or 5 song recording first, and then another 5 song recording. Then we packaged that into Port of Spain style and released that as our Jointpop debut album.
Yeah, and I was wondering because I messaged you before, and I guess well, like the first 3 releases that you guys had, there was Port of Spain style, and then in 2002 there was Exile Baby,
Exile Baby, yeah.
and then in 2005 you did a 5-song EP. But here's the thing: when I was searching for it, like I couldn't find anything, and I had to go to like Wayback Machine and try and see like the track lists and all that. But like each reviewer that reviewed your album would only review like a handful of songs.
Right.
So like were your first 3 releases, were they sold locally, and then once they sold out, that was it?
Yes, I think that is exactly what it is. We do a minimum print, let's say whatever, 500 CDs or get that out while we perform at an album launch. Let's say we sell some, every gig we sell some, give away some when you're drunk, you know. So, and pretty much, and when they stopped, then we never got back to it because we're going on to the next thing, and pretty much I was in charge of all those things. Like right now, even my wife is behind me. Every now and then she shows me a piece of paper. She's a stroke survivor, right? So she writes a lot. She don't speak much still, you know. She could speak a bit, you know. Mm-hmm. For instance, you see this there. There's her monitor. So she's outside. She has a chain on. If she needs me, she will just press this, and I take care of her for the past 7 years, right?
Yeah.
So, but she don't mess around, and she has a book that she writes with now.
Yeah, and you work together. You're a team, right?
Yeah. On one of those pages is get all my music from what you're talking about. All those things, get them organized and on files and on things to save, and I don't even have my own music.
At one point, when I was looking for Port of Spain Style, you had posted the album art to the Facebook page, the album cover.
Right.
And so you took inspiration from Sonic Youth's Goo, right?
Exactly. Yeah. That is my drawing, actually, hand drawing pen. That is me just messing around. And I decided I'll use that as a cover. And that is Goo. That is basically Goo, yes.
Yeah. So your most, from that era, your most like iconic song from Port of Spain Style, After 9:30, what came first, the melody that you sing or the chord sequence?
I think then I would be just strumming some chords and then get onto the melody and an instant line. All that I remember, I think that song came together as one sort of thing.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so it was like, so I can imagine you strumming your guitar, strumming those 3 chords, and then like like that all came together as one thing.
Yeah, pretty much as I remember it. I always write on acoustic guitar. The heaviest track we have was written on acoustic also. It could be as noisy as it want. I only write on acoustic guitar, and then once I get to the band, we could transfer it to anything we want, So, but yeah, I remember 9:30 being pretty much that. And as you could tell, the shift between Oddfellows Local and Jointpop, that first album took a sort of laid back, all right, I'm gonna just check more of old Trinidad sequences,
Yeah, following that up was the song "Urgent." Run as fast as you can.
Yeah.
Taking over.
Mm-hmm.
What about that one?
I remember it being a mistake chord, like a chord I don't even know the name. Like my hand just hit something by mistake. That song, and I just stayed there. That opening, that's like some weird ass chord. I guess musicians will know what it is, but I had no idea. Like I never even played it again ever, And I just kind of took it from there. And back then we had a sax player and so on too. An older guy just used to come and. He always used to freak out, and I was like, "What the hell are you all doing?" And that kind of thing. He's a real musician, And so he came up with that cool line, So that is classic old calypso type, call and response type things, and that's we were. I don't want to say experimenting, because experimenting sounds like you purposely putting things. So we were just having an open door into just looking at Trinidad from that aspect, So
yeah, it's really cool, and it's a very the color scheme, the attitude. It's like super 90s, man. It's like
yeah. I mean, I'm thankful we had collaborators as in the video maker and so on. That Walt Lovelace did 9:30. He did Arrest. He did Little Miss Popular. He did Urgent. He found a little film camera and let's go for it. And we never had discussions with him. He just always knew. He did Ride Alone also. We have a 30-year working relationship, And there's never much discussion like, what about this? So like, all right, there's my head. Okay, let's go. We're ready. Shoot, So.
Oh, wow. So, of course, those videos took a lot of planning, I'm sure. But as far as like Walt's approach, he was very kind of spontaneous in that way?
Mostly, for the most part, he would have an idea and then work on it as we go along, kind of thing,
Okay. And then
I think up to now, just up to the modern day Ride Alone, I think that was like the most scripted work we've done,
Yeah. And then going forward to Exile Baby.
Mm-hmm.
So how did that come about?
As you notice, the street pictured on the Port of Spain Style album is Bleecker Street, which is New York City, which I've never been. Then I just know that Bleecker is hip and cool, and the Bowery is not too far, and CBGB, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
And so by the time Exile Baby came around, we had gone to New York and actually pretty much lived on Bleecker Street a lot. And
that must have been a dream for you, man.
Oh, yeah. And we played CBGB also, we got booked to CB. We stayed at the Chelsea Hotel. We met Didi Ramon. He actually sat with me in my hotel room, had a drink of my rum, and we talked for about half an hour. It's just Didi Ramon, man, just all buzzing.
Yeah, it's one of your heroes, man.
Yeah, I mean, and this wasn't planned. We just there, checked in, and next thing the bellhop had him at the door. And I opened the door and he said, "Hey, this is Didi Ramon, guys." I'm like, "Fuck, man. Well, come and sit down, man, blah, blah." And we had the Chelsea Hotel where Bob Dylan stayed, and it's just all crazy, just shit happening, and we played CB, and then we came back, and the Exile Baby album is like our New York story. Mm-hmm. So, the concept of Exile Baby is like we in New York, and then we thinking we are a rock and roll band. Everybody say, "Well, you're a real Caribbean sound, man." Like, what? And then in Trinidad, they say, "You all are so rock." So it's like being like just in a lost space in the middle. We're not rock enough for America, and we're not we're too rock for Trinidad. So we're just in exile, So it's that kind of thing,
Oh wow! So it's kind of that conflict that no one wants to be in, where you're too something for one audience and too something for another. But
and we can't change, and that's our situation. And we can't. Okay, well, whatever it is. Sorry.
It's unfortunate, but you soldiered on after that. What about the 5-song EP after that?
The 5-song EP, I think, by then we were just gonna.
That was 2005.
Yeah, that pretty much was kind of coming down to what we call the first phase of Jointpop, because we did that and we sort of stopped. We took we stopped. We were done. Mm-hmm. But we got back going again 11 months after. But by that time, it was just me and the guitar player, Damon, left. Mm-hmm. So the drummer said no, he would leave it that way. He wouldn't continue. The bass player by that time was gone, missing, Wow. And that's when we got the new drummer in Dion. We added a keyboard with Phil and a new bass player with Jerome. So those three joined me and Damon to continue Jointpop. So from there, that's the second phase of Jointpop, let's say.
All right. And then, and that was I called it the 5-song EP because I didn't know if it had a name, and I know it was mentioned like in like smaller sections, like they did a 5-song EP, and I'm like, how am I gonna log this?
There's no title. There's no title.
Oh, okay. So after that, you did January Transfer Window, which I actually have here.
Oh, right. Okay. Is that the double one with the DVD?
With the Desperate Houseflies DVD.
And
it's really cool. And I think, was that kind of like you're revamping, you're getting together, fresh start, clean slate?
Yeah, hence the January Transfer Window is a soccer term. In England, every January there's a window you could go buy new players, but the window opens and shuts at a certain day. You only have January to make those new signings and so on. So hence the new members and so on. So it's like, okay, so we're in the January Transfer Window. We got some new guys, let's get going. So it was like the new, hence the opening track is all keyboard with the irony of it all and so on. So the announcement was, okay, there they go, so.
And what? What about the cover art? How did that come about?
Well, again, I think we were stumped for something, and I think that is also a Walt Lovelace photo. Mm-hmm. As you notice, the documentary, the film documentary, is Walt again.
Walt's been with you everywhere.
And again, we happened to see him the week before we were in Tobago, and we sort of bounced him up on the beach. Oh, hey, what's going on? While we talking, yeah, we're going down because we went to a beach house, and set up the studio there, right?
Yeah.
And so we were telling him of that idea, and you could see it churning in. Yeah, you all mind if I come down? No, you fix up, man. Whatever. And he just came down for like 3 days and just walked around and shot and did and produced that documentary.
And that was
again not planned, you know.
Yeah, and that was you guys were like I kind of imagine that your spirits were kind of at an all-time high because all you had to worry about was heartburn and no heartbreak. Hey, 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 hey.
Yeah, that was written on his spot down.
Bro.
Yeah, that was written on his spot down there and just recorded acoustically like that. Yeah, that was just random. Let's just do that. Yeah, it was. Funny enough, I was just at that house this weekend.
Oh wow!
I just spent a week. Yeah, I just spent a weekend at this house, and there's a lot of memories. You're just walking around staring at it. So yeah, it was freshness, restart sort of thing. Like, let's get going, you know. And a good album. A lot of people seem to call it their favorite.
Yeah, it really is a really solid album, like from start to finish. Like, it deals with a lot of genres, like, you know, power pop and like some more garage. And again, the you mentioned the integration of Phil Hill. He really took charge with you. Like, he was your second in command. Like, you started writing a lot. Yeah.
Pretty much, because once I realized what Phil provides as far as in the sound and the qualities, he's a top class musician also, you know. Mm-hmm. Once I realized we had that available, now it was like, oh, let's go, let's use it, don't. And I always liked those kind of songs also, but now I'm getting a chance to write like that too, you know. So that was important, you know.
So like the releases that followed, like Longest Kiss Goodnight, Pot Hounds, Quicksand, that was all like an extension of that renewed energy, right?
Yes, that's the same lineup going right through until the end. Yeah. So yeah, we were on a good track there, just following our vibe, man. Yeah.
Your last album that you did is From Trinidad with Love. Now, did you intend that to be the final album for Jointpop?
No, at the time of making, no. I sort of had a sense of it. Maybe it could be, but no firm idea. I just knew I was starting to feel like the guys pretty much got tired of me, you know.
Oh yeah.
And I mean, I can't blame them. We've been on a long road, you know, and me being the primary writer and so on, they wanted to start writing and expressing themselves and so on, which I totally encourage them to. I think you all should, you know. But sadly, I don't know how to write like that. I tried, but I just knew it couldn't work, you know. It's just not my thing. And
so you had like different directions, pretty much.
Well, obviously, once anything will be different to me. I've been writing my whole career on my own, per se, you know, in general, you know. So anything would be different for me.
Yeah.
So, but I just never knew how to put lyrics and melodies that exist in music that's going on around me. I could put it together first and then bring it to the band, and they all do their own thing on it. So that has been the normal thing. But I basically thought the work was over also, you know. Mm-hmm. And I didn't want it to get bad, let's say, so because we were very close also. Mm-hmm. So I just sort of sense and maybe see in the future a bit like, okay, let's not go there, you know. So.
Mm-hmm. And it really is like a really kind of exclamatory note then, because you had everyone covering it, everyone giving it critical acclaim. You even worked with the bassist from Grantley Buffalo, right?
Yeah, Paul Kimball from Grantley Buffalo. Yeah, he produced that album and the one before, Quicksand also. He produced the last two Jointpop albums.
Yeah, what was it like working with him?
It was amazing in the sense of, first of all, I'm a huge Grantley Buffalo fan. So to end up with Paul was just like another dream come true in a sense. I mean, as you might have an idea with production, and you never know what the relationship is going to be like. He is a good producer, but you don't know what is going to happen, not only in the musical results, but in the personal level of dealing with the humans and so on, you know.
Yeah.
And Paul became like a joint pop member. He just fit right in, man. He was so cool, real cool guy. And then, you know, once the downtime was there, then I could start quizzing him about Grantley Buffalo stories and Bowie stories and Eno stories, and because he did he worked on the soundtrack for Velvet Goldmine also, you know.
Yeah,
The
yeah.
film Velvet Goldmine, and then of course they toured so much with REM, and they were so close to that, you know. So there was a lot of good rock and roll. And Paul is a real punk ass dude too, you know.
Yeah, yeah.
Hates the music industry. Hates. So he's real.
I mean, he was a part of it for a while.
Yeah, exactly. But he fit right. He fit right, and all the guys loved him, and he loved us all, and he was just real cool, real cool.
And then going forward with your solo career you had National Trash. I mean,
Yeah.
how did you think of like going in a more country rock direction?
Again, when the meeting we had with the band, and I suggested, look, guys, I think the work is over, and let's not drag it through the mud, that kind of thing. I think let's leave it existing as what it is. You all are right to know, so I think you all should go ahead and try and follow some of that and get that on, you know.
Yeah.
I really had no plans. I had zero plans. It was just, let's see what happens. I will just chill out and see what's going on. And then the pandemic hit pretty much like a couple of months after, you know. Yeah. So National Trash was me being scared. I'm not going to make it out of the pandemic. So let me just write this thing quickly. And so, you know, so that got me right in.
And then how did you get to work with the people you work with? I noticed that it's recorded in like different locations.
Yeah, well, again, once I started to write, I knew I wasn't going to be putting no band together, and I always had this little thing for country music. Being a songwriter, you know, I would be checking out those greats like Cash and Hank Williams, and then I started getting deep into Graham Parsons, and so I just decided now is the time. So I have nobody to talk to or no questions to answer. I could just go fully into this thing and make a country record.
Yeah, you're not going to be like what? You're going country? What this time?
Exactly, you know. So I made my small world in Trinidad even smaller, you know, because there's like no one here, you know, like no one to discuss it with. There's no fellow country writer to talk to. There's nothing, you know. So,
and how did you
my decision?
How did you find the guys to work with? Was it just based on the connections you had?
So right, so I wrote the songs again, acoustic guitar. I realized my budget was going to be small. I didn't have time. As I said, I just wanted to get us out and done with this pandemic going on. So at least I leave something, you know. So the guy in Kansas, Sean Bartholomew, he's a Trini also, but he lives up there. So I got in touch with him. Hey, you still have a little studio there? You want to put something together for me? And of course, I can't say no to you, blah, blah, blah. He did Arrest Arrest. He was the guy who produced Arrest Arrest. Oh, yeah, so I went right back. I went right back, yeah. So we recorded my guitar and vocal here with a guy called Mice in his studio. But I don't know nothing about these things, so they start dealing with each other, sending up files and whatever.
Dropbox and everything.
No, please leave me out of this. Leave me out. So they dealt with that, and then I had to try and find. I knew I wanted pedal steel, and I knew I wanted a female country vocal.
Yeah.
Both things are wrong, my little mad thing. So I just needed those two things, and I managed to find John Heinrich from Nashville as a pedal steel player.
Mm-hmm.
And we spoke, and he was like, yeah, sure. He gave me some costs, which, well, cool, I think we can handle this. And he liked the songs. I sent it to him, and he said, well, cool, I will just cut the tracks. I said, you just have fun. Just make it cry and sing. That was my brief. I've never seen a pedal steel. I don't have one in Trinidad. I've never seen it. never seen somebody play. I've never seen
Wow,
one.
so
All I
this is
know,
like a first time thing for you.
yeah. So all I know, I wanted it on the album. And he asked to play differently. I said, no, just pedal steel only. Because once you open the door to any other thing, then it becomes a whole, no. And then I tried finding a female singer. And then I asked John, I said, by any chance you have a female country singer? He said, yeah, I have a girl I work with. And he sent me like a little example. I listened to 2 seconds and said, yeah, that's her. Hire, right, great, good, bring her. And she did same Nikki Nelson, but she was in Highway 101. She played the Opry. They both played the Opry. And
Grand Ole
so,
Opry, right?
yeah, they both did,
Wow.
That's the company I was keeping online. I've never met them. I still to meet them, but it turned out to be real cool, special people, which is my first thing. If they were just so cool. I spoke to John up to a couple of days ago. We in touch all the time. I hope to meet them one day. They're just being thankful for what they did to it, I mean, and those were all one takes sent done, no redos. Like, okay, great. And then Sean mixed them all in Kansas, and that was the record.
Wow. So, in one particular track on there that I noticed like a callback to, because on when you get to My Arrow Harper Blues, it says featuring Jimmy Crime and the Murderers, and then the track on National Trash is Searching for Jimmy Crime.
That is there. That is written on it. Really?
Yeah.
Oh, fuck. Okay. Yeah. Well, yeah, because Jimmy Crime is, let's say, in Jointpop era. If we had a gig where it's just me and Damon, let's say a stripped down acoustic gig, somehow we switched that to be called Jimmy Crime and the Murderers. A big fun thing was a joke was for Jimmy Crime and the Murderers. But it turned out if somebody was saying, look, we just wanted Jimmy Crime, okay, right. So it was a inside joke per se. And so with the solo album, I decided to write that searching for Jimmy Crime. Where did he go? What's going on? That kind of thing, So
it kind of fits in that legacy, like hand in hand.
Yeah. So again, like for instance, I mean, a newcomer to the National Trash album would have no idea what that Jimmy Crime thing is. But as the chances I will take, I mean, if you want to go find the story, then go ahead. So it's a pretty crazy thing I did there, man. I mean, I shift all our existing focus from touring the UK a lot with Jointpop, going through England into Wales into Scotland and so on. So building a little base there, and I just shift everything to America. I was starting to build American fan base and just so whoever in America checking out National Trash could be like, where did he come from? Does he has a past? So, I mean, I'm not even talking about it. This is the first time I'm talking about all those things in any interview,
Yeah.
And so I started over from scratch, really, building it up from one, but in this weird American scene, Nashville, Texas, And
it's really cool because just like Jointpop, this is like kind of an extension of just your travels. Just you've been pretty much in a lot of places. I remember you went to an in-store where you saw the Hives in the UK, and that must have been cool too.
Yeah, that was a rough trade. I just walked in and it turns out they were doing an in-store. I don't know, fucking nice, all right. Yeah. No, but I've yet to do any sort of touring on National Trash, and as an ex-habit of mine, once I'm no longer in the band, I don't touch the music. Don't ask me why. Like for instance, Jointpop never played an Oddfellows Local song.
Oh wow!
And so far I've only played 2 gigs as Gary Hector, and the only Gary Hector songs. I haven't touched any Jointpop or Oddfellows Local. I don't think I'm ready for that. I'm not ready for that concert. That retrospect.
Only I would be interested. I would be interested. Give me all your records.
When that day comes, you will be front and center. So don't worry about it. I just not ready for it. So.
We're on it. Big remaster, big big
Yeah.
documentary.
Big production and all 19 musicians backstage for each section.
Yeah, the rock scene in Trinidad. Yeah.
Yeah. So I
And I
hope
know
to.
there was actually a documentary that someone never completed, and it had you performing. I think it was Oddfellows Local at the time. It was like in the
Yeah,
early to mid '90s.
it's Walt again. It's all Walt's footage.
Yeah.
He was trying to put together a thing, and he still wants to. We speak about it every now and then because he has a bunch of stuff from that era.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. Any footage, any like songs, I'm there for.
Yeah. I'll send you what I have. I don't have much. I could just check out and see what he has. I know he just put out a new one recently from one of those same gigs. I look at it like, what the fuck is going on there?
Yeah. Anything, I'm all for it. And now, moving on to your new album that you have now, that you're working on, Memphis Medicine. You're working with Eric Lichter. I heard in the post. I mean, I saw in the post that you sent him the demos, and how's that going?
Yeah, well, I met Eric online and we've been chatting for like close to 2 years. I've just been digging all his work and, I mean, he has a fascinating studio, but there are fascinating studios all over the place, you know.
Yeah.
His is amazing. Yes, there's a big Neve board and a lot of
I saw pictures of it. Wow.
Yeah, analog gear and so on. Okay, great, but I've been around the game, so I know that is not only what it takes. So the real turn on with Eric for me is what he does with just song frameworks and what he builds them into. And
right, to have a big console is one thing, but to have him work his magic on it is a whole other different process.
And I observe him working with a lot of different people, and I observe what those people say about working with him, and it just felt like right now I need to meet this guy where my world is presently. I need to meet Eric and make a record with him. So that was the choice I made, and he agreed because he likes what I do. And it's about me finding the budget for it. So which I had that Naked concert, the concert called Naked, let me say, at Queen's Hall. So I managed to get the local following here to buy into, come into the concert, and all the funds will go towards the recording of the album, you know, and we managed to achieve that. So I am actually leaving on the 9th of October to the 15th of October, and I'll be in Connecticut by Eric to recording the Memphis Medicine album. So he has all the demos, which is basically phone demos. I used some from the concert also, because I played most of the songs at the concert. So we took little clips of it. So they would be just the acoustic demos. So this is going to be full band.
Oh, wow, cool.
It is going to be full band. Whatever. I'm not saying there might be one song with just acoustic. That all depends on the decision making while the record is being made, you know. But it's going to be full band, basically.
And is this kind of an extension of National Trash?
I'll tell you that the opening lyric is, I'm hitching a ride from Nashville to Memphis.
So it kind of, sort of connected in some way.
Yeah. I just left Nashville and I'm now in Memphis. So, you know, funny enough, I'm hitching a ride from Nashville to Memphis with a young truck driver. He said his name was Elvis. So I'm going to check this thing out. Birth of Rock and Roll and Sun Studio and Elvis Presley and Sam Phillips and the blues and country meet at the crossroads and rock and roll and paying tribute and bowing to the thing that gave me some sort of life, you know.
And
so it's the Memphis Medicine, you know. I've drank it. I drank it. Sadly, I cannot get away from it.
So it's not Memphis like medicine so much as it's like almost like a drug.
Yes, the drug we all took and we had no idea, you know. With one shake of that hip, we all fell, you know. So it's along those lines, but So even that was countrified. So it's still there. I'm still in Tennessee, I guess, you know. So
You're
yeah,
still in
yeah,
Tennessee.
you know what I mean.
Yeah, yeah.
And I've never been.
Well, it's good, and I think your travels and your efforts and your friendships and your bonds will leave you there. Will lead you there.
Yeah.
I truly believe it. You are a traveling man, and you focus on friendships, and you've solidified it. Yeah, again, you mentioned Walt Lovelace, like he
Hmm.
was mentioned in the credits of National Trash, and like what is it about Walt that still resonates with you to this day in terms of your friendship?
Well, to put my finger on it, I think it's just we could just be like creative brothers or something like that. I think we related as far as the whole. He knows me inside out. I know him, and we just work so well together, man. I mean, it's just one of those things, you know. And pretty much a lot of people around my sphere I've been working with for a very long time. The artists who do all my album covers, he's doing the joint pop album, Nicholas Huggins, the photographer, Abigail Hadid, she's been working with me for, it's just, as you say, once I form those bonds and so on, and I don't think I'm difficult to work with. I think so. Just people just have an idea. Well, okay, it's Gary, so we know what he wants. And I
Hmm.
don't know. I managed to keep a crew together.
Yeah, and considering the career you had thus far, and again, the bonds that you've shared and you've formed and maintained, what have you learned about yourself, not only as a musician, but as a person?
Um, I I just try to approach everything in a real honest way. I mean, honest in the sense of not misleading and not even in the songwriting, even in performance, even in just try to keep things real honest, man. I mean, and another thing too, I don't like to learn much. I don't want to know much. I don't want to know too much things.
The
I
mystery excites you, right?
yeah, I think I think I work a lot on that, you know. So like we got a piano once, and I say, why the hell I don't try and learn this? And then it came with some books, and you have to. And I said, I don't want to know about music. I for instance, I can't. I don't know how to record. I cannot set up my own studio. I've been in studios all over the world for 30 years. I don't know what to touch. I don't want to know those things. I've seen people who get
Because
so indulged in it,
when you know too much, you become cynical, and it starts
Exactly.
becoming,
Yeah.
yeah,
So I
fuzzy.
don't want to know. I'm not ready to know, and I don't need to know.
Yeah.
Everything I know, I could put on a Bob Dylan record. I could put on a Grant Lee Buffalo album. I could put on a Sex Pistols album. I could go and listen to Loretta Lynn. That is my university. That's my knowledge. Just listening. I don't need any more than I don't go to songwriters workshops. I don't know what the hell is that. I don't know.
No, me neither. I mean, I've been writing songs too for, since
Good.
2004, and
Send me a couple,
I'm
man. Let me listen.
yeah, 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 yeah.
Yeah.
Of course,
Yeah.
man.
Good,
Yeah,
man.
and we're doing, and it's a weird kind of trajectory because you get all this exposure for your cover, but
Yeah.
then when you put out your original song, it's like, 1 200, 1 200, but like every cover, it's like, oh, this is great.
Yeah, exactly. I've just started doing some, but doing like weird covers that I like, you know. So, yeah, man. I mean, man, this songwriting is like, as I keep saying, is the curse I'm blessed with somehow. I mean, if this is what I'm to do, and thankfully my family allows me to do it, they always did, you know. They say, okay, that's what you do that. We don't need a miserable, sour Gary in the house. You just do what you do, you know. So
And a
I, I
big
still I still can't believe I'm still writing, but I don't know what's going to happen after this. But I just want to get Memphis Medicine done, you know.
Yeah, and the big takeaway from this is you're equally a fan of music as you are a musician.
Oh yeah. I sometimes I don't even call myself a musician, you know. I mean, because I know musicians. I don't think I'm anything like them. I mean, I'm limited when it comes to them things. I just know some chords. I could sing a bit, but I'm no musician. I know musicians, and I dare not compare myself to them. I'm a songwriter. I know that, you know, and I just try and express myself the way I could, you know.
Yeah, and the biggest compliment I can give you is like from the moment I saw you back in Arrest with that kind of confidence, you still have that drive even now.
Well, I'll take that, man, because sometimes you want to, sometimes you say that, am I still interested? And you do question it sometimes, and I have to. So, you know, like for getting ready for that concert recently was a big do. It was in the Queen's Hall in Trinidad, as the prestigious theater. No punks allowed, you know, that kind of thing. And it's my first time ever, you know. And it was just me on that stage for like almost 3 hours. Guitar, me, crowd.
Yeah.
And every day getting ready for it. And then getting ready is like without the band too, so there's no laughter, there's no boys having a drink or whatever, you know. It's just
it's so like
rehearsal is the hardest part.
Right.
Every night I keep saying, tomorrow you'll do tomorrow. And then every day leading up to that concert, every morning I'll be walking around the house going, what the fuck are you doing, man? This is crazy. You cannot do this. And by night, after a few songs, I'm like, this is going to be so cool. So it was just real crazy, man. Up to even when those curtains were open, I was just like, man, let's go. Come on.
And you're doing shows. You're doing shows now. And like you said, I remember you posted on Facebook, like, Gary, why is your tour called Television? And you said, watch and see.
Yeah, and that's the next thing to social media. I'm trying to learn this shit and grasp it, but do it in my way. I mean, you're not gonna see me dancing on TikTok, and I mean, I'll try doing my own way, you know. And I mean, I have to do it. This is the only way to get around and so on, you know. So, but once it comes across as me, I'm cool with that, you know.
Mm-hmm. And then, lastly, anything you'd like to say to your fans?
Well, obviously, thanks for following my story and listening to my songs and spreading the word. I mean, that is important to just let people know I've heard this guy. I mean, I'm just ultra thankful I get to write songs and that some people willing to listen to it and spread the word, man.
Yeah. I'll definitely spread the word. You can count on me.
Yeah, man.
This has been amazing, man. It's so great to talk to you. And
yeah.
Thank you so much, man.
Thank you so much, man, Jake, man. Yeah.